Tom Hanks was preparing for his most important scene when a terrified 9-year-old extra ran up to him crying, "Please help me. They won't listen to anyone else." What the child whispered next made Tom immediately stop production, defy studio executives, and risk his entire career to protect an innocent life. The 48 hours that followed would prove that sometimes being a hero has nothing to do with acting. May 12, 2011. The set of Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close was buzzing with controlled chaos as Tom prepared for one of the film's most emotional sequences. The Stephen Daldry-directed drama about a boy searching for his father after 9/11 required delicate handling of traumatic themes, especially when working with child actors. Tom was reviewing his lines when he noticed unusual commotion near craft services. Several crew members were clustered around a small figure, one of the child extras who had been hired for background scenes. The little boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, was clearly upset about something, but the adults seemed to be dismissing his concerns. As Tom watched, the child broke away from the group and ran directly toward him, tears streaming down his face. Tom immediately knelt down as the boy approached. "Mr. Tom Hanks, please help me," the child said urgently. "My name is David, and something really bad is happening. None of the grown-ups will listen to me because I'm just a kid." Tom's protective instincts kicked in immediately. "David, what's wrong? Tell me what's happening." David looked around nervously, then leaned in close. "One of the men here isn't supposed to be around children. My mom told me to always tell a grown-up if I saw him again. But when I told the assistant director, he said I was making up stories." Tom felt alarm bells ringing in his head. "David, what man? Can you point him out to me?" David's small hand pointed toward a man in his 40s wearing a crew jacket, operating a camera near the child actors area. He looked like any other film crew member, but something in David's expression told Tom this was deadly serious. "My mom works for child services," David whispered. "She showed me his picture and said, if I ever saw him, I had to tell someone right away. She said he's dangerous to kids." Tom felt ice in his veins. A registered child predator had somehow gained access to a film set filled with minor actors, and when David tried to report it, adults had dismissed him as a troublemaking child. "David, I want you to stay right next to me, okay? Don't go anywhere without me." Tom immediately signaled to his personal assistant Margaret, who rushed over. "Margaret, I need you to call studio security right now. We have a situation with one of the crew members." But what happened next shocked everyone on set. Before Margaret could make the call, the first assistant director approached with obvious irritation. "Tom, we need to get this scene shot. We're already behind schedule, and the kid keeps disrupting production with wild stories." "What wild stories?" Tom asked, though he already knew. "He's claiming one of our camera operators is some kind of criminal. It's obviously an attention-seeking behavior. Some of these child actors get overwhelmed by the big production environment." Tom looked down at David, whose face had gone pale with frustration and fear. Here was a child trying to protect himself and other kids, and the adults in charge were treating him like a nuisance. Did anyone actually check David's claims? "Tom, we can't stop production every time a kid gets nervous around strangers. We have a movie to make." That's when Tom made a decision that would shut down an entire Hollywood production. "Actually, we don't have a movie to make. Not until we verify David's information." Tom called for an immediate production halt. "Everyone stop what you're doing," Tom announced loudly enough for the entire set to hear. "We're suspending filming until further notice." The assistant director looked stunned. "Tom, you can't just stop production. Do you know how much this costs per hour?" "I don't care what it costs." "David, I want you to show me exactly who you're talking about." David pointed again to the camera operator, who was now looking uncomfortable as attention focused on him. "That man, Mr. Tom. His name is Robert something. My mom said he hurt children before." Tom walked directly to the man David had identified. "Excuse me, could I see some identification, please?" The man's expression shifted from confusion to defensiveness. "What's this about? I'm just doing my job here." Your name and ID, please. I don't have to show you anything. You're not security. That response told Tom everything he needed to know. Tom immediately called out to set security. I need this man detained immediately while we verify his background clearance. Mr. Hanks, this is highly irregular, said the production manager, who had arrived to see what the commotion was about. You can't just accuse crew members without cause. The cause is that a child on this set has identified someone as potentially dangerous. Until we know for certain that every adult here is safe to be around children, nobody works. The camera operator suddenly became agitated. This is harassment. I'm calling my union rep. You do that, Tom said calmly. Right after security checks your credentials. As security approached, the man made a decision that confirmed David's worst fears. He dropped his equipment and ran toward the exit. The chase that followed revealed the truth. Security guards pursued the fleeing man across the studio lot, while Tom stayed with David and the other child actors. Within minutes, they had him cornered near the parking garage. When police arrived and ran his fingerprints, the truth came out. Robert Mitchell was indeed a registered sex offender who had been banned from working around minors. He had gained access to the film set using false credentials and a fake union card. David, you probably saved yourself and other children from something terrible, Tom told the boy as they waited for David's mother to arrive. You were incredibly brave to speak up even when adults weren't listening. David hugged Tom tightly. Thank you for believing me, Mr. Tom. The other grown-ups made me feel stupid. The investigation revealed how deep the security failure went. Police discovered that Robert Mitchell had been working on film sets for 3 months using the stolen identity of a legitimate camera operator. The real Robert Mitchell had been working in Canada and was unaware his credentials were being used. More disturbing, Mitchell had gained access to at least 5 other productions involving child actors. Detective Sarah Walsh, who handled the case, was shocked by the security lapses. Mr. Hanks, if this child hadn't spoken up, and if you hadn't listened to him, we could be looking at multiple victims. The entertainment industry's background check system has serious holes in it. Tom was horrified to learn how vulnerable child actors were. Detective Walsh, what can we do to make sure this never happens again? Honestly, the industry needs to completely overhaul how it verifies crew members working around minors. This case should be a wake-up call. Tom made a decision that would change Hollywood forever. Instead of simply resuming production, Tom announced that he was suspending filming for a week while implementing new safety protocols. Studio executives were furious about the delays and costs, but Tom refused to compromise. We're going to create the most comprehensive child safety system in the entertainment industry, Tom declared at an emergency meeting with studio heads. Every crew member, every vendor, every person who comes within 50 feet of a child actor will undergo enhanced background screening. Studio head Michael Brennan was incredulous. Tom, that will cost millions and delay every production. You can't restructure an entire industry because of one incident. Watch me. Tom threatened to withdraw from not just this film, but all future projects with any studio that didn't implement the new safety measures. The standoff lasted 72 hours. For 3 days, one of Hollywood's biggest productions sat idle while Tom Hanks faced off against studio executives. Other A-list actors began calling to express support. Directors like Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard publicly backed Tom's demands. Parents of child actors organized rallies outside studio gates. The story became national news, with child safety advocates calling Tom a hero and industry insiders worried about setting expensive precedents. Finally, the studios capitulated. The new safety protocols would be implemented industry-wide, with enhanced background checks, mandatory reporting systems, and regular audits of crew credentials. The long-term impact transformed how Hollywood protects children. The Hanks Protocol, as it became known, required biometric verification for all crew members working with minors. Within 2 years, the system had prevented 17 other potential predators from gaining access to film sets. David's mother, Linda Chen, became a consultant helping implement the new safety measures. My son's courage and Tom Hanks' willingness to listen saved countless children, she said. It proved that when adults take children seriously, amazing things can happen. David grew up to become a child advocate. Years later, David Chen graduated from law school and became a prosecutor specializing in crimes against children. He credits that day on the film set with teaching him that his voice mattered. Mr. Hanks showed me that speaking up for what's right is always worth it, even when it's scary or when adults dismiss you, David said at his law school graduation, where Tom was a surprise guest. Tom gave David a graduation gift, a framed photo from that day on set, with an inscription, "To the bravest 9-year-old I ever met. Thank you for teaching me what real heroism looks like." The film eventually became Tom's most meaningful project. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close was completed with the new safety protocols in place. The film earned critical acclaim and several Oscar nominations, but Tom always said the real victory was creating a safer environment for child performers. Every day of that production, I knew that every child was protected. Tom reflected. That gave the entire project a different energy, a different purpose. We weren't just making a movie, we were proving that entertainment and child safety could coexist. 10 years later, the impact continues. The Hanks Protocol has been adopted by film industries in 12 countries. Child advocacy groups estimate that the enhanced screening measures have prevented hundreds of potential abuse situations. Robert Mitchell was sentenced to 15 years in prison after investigators found evidence of his crimes on other film sets. During his sentencing, the judge specifically noted that Tom Hanks's actions had likely prevented additional victims. When asked about that day, Tom always gives the same answer. David was the real hero. He had the courage to speak up when adults were failing to protect him. I just happened to be the first adult who listened. Every child deserves to have their concerns taken seriously, especially when their safety is at stake. The lesson that changed everything. Tom often tells young actors, "Your voice matters, no matter how young you are. If something feels wrong, keep speaking up until someone listens. And if you're an adult with power, remember that the smallest voices sometimes carry the most important messages." The day Tom Hanks refused to film saved more than just David Chen. It saved an entire generation of child actors from an industry that had forgotten its responsibility to protect the most vulnerable people on set. That's the Tom Hanks story about how listening to a child changed Hollywood forever.